It's our turn, episode number 54, Amazing Card Art. In this episode, I welcome Annette and Sarah Graybill to the show for a discussion on amazing card art, and I interview Heather and Chris O'Neill from 9th Level Games.
This is the Dice Tower Network, adding games to your wish list since 2005.
Hosting for this episode is generously provided by our fantastic supporters on Patreon.com. If you'd like to help us out by pledging $1 per month or more, please visit patreon.com/OurTurnPodcast. We'd like to send a shout out to our newest patron, William. Every dollar helps to keep this show going strong. Thank you, William. Hi, and welcome back to Our Turn. This is Cathy Ford, and today I am joined by two very special guest hosts, Annette from Netter's Plays. Hi, Annette.
Hey, Cathy. How you doing?
I'm good. And I'm also joined by Sarah Graybill from Blackstraw Games. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Cathy. Hi, Annette. Nice to be here.
And you two just reconnected at HateyCon this weekend, right?
Yeah, we did. We've seen each other before and played games before, but we also saw each other at HateyCon, too.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we got the opportunity to play games together at HateyCon. We kind of danced around each other, but it was nice to see you again, Annette, and nice to connect with you here, too.
Yeah, the whole weekend, I guess, we saw each other. We just didn't play anything.
Can one of you talk about what HateyCon is and maybe start telling us a little bit about it?
Sure. So I know you do a little bit more than I do because you do play testing, but HateyCon itself is a convention held in San Francisco, and it's sort of like a fundraiser to raise money and awareness for tuberculosis and AIDS patients in Haiti. This auctions and people donate money and they donate games, and people just get together to play test and raise money for this purpose for all the patients out there. So it's a really good place to connect with the community. It's a really good place to connect with designers and play testers and such.
Yeah, and as Annette alluded to, there is a playtesting space. They have started to increase that over the past few years. So this year with their location, they had an entire floor dedicated to playtesting, and big names like Tom Lehman and Susan Ross and Matt Leacock were there showing their games, as well as a bunch of people from the local community. So Teal Fristow was there, and Scott Caputo was there, many more that I'm probably forgetting, but a lot of the locals in the area got to be able to showcase their games, playtest their new games, and people could play with them. And then that was also in the space where they were doing the auctions and the raffles and all the additional ways that they raise money for the TK Haiti clinic.
Now, the location is a little unusual for most cons that people attend as well.
Yeah, it is. So it's right in the heart of San Francisco. Of course, there are a lot of game events in the Bay Area, but this one is held at a church. I know Aaron Newman is one of the founders and organizers of this event. I'm not sure quite his connection to the church, but he always seems to have a good location in mind. I'm assuming that the space is donated to us for the 2 days. And the church itself is quite quirky because it's in San Francisco. So it's, as I mentioned, it's multi-floored. I think they've got 4 floors and kind of have open gaming on one, playtesting on another, all werewolf all the time on a 4th floor. So I don't know if you had any other insight into the location, Annette.
Yeah, it used to be the place for the Euro Gaming League, which was held every Monday too. So yeah, even though it was held at a church, it was also, since it's in San Francisco, they just made it aware that it's also inclusive to everyone. So they tried to make it just feel comfortable for everyone that's there. You put your name tag on, and then you have to also pick a pronoun, what you would prefer to be known as, whether he, she, or they. So it's just open awareness and just for everyone's comfort and ease, too.
I was able to go last year just on Friday night, and I had a great time with it. It was definitely an experience. I was sorry that I couldn't make it on Saturday and meet some of the more well-known designers that were there. I'm glad to hear that it's getting a little bit bigger even.
Yeah, I don't know the final numbers for attendees, but I think I heard somewhere over 100 people signed up in advance, and I know they had a lot of drop-ins, so I don't know what the attendance looked like on Friday, but at any given time, I think there were about 80 or so. Not great at estimating crowd sizes, but it felt like there were a lot of people there, and I definitely know some new faces too showed up, so that was cool to see.
Nice. So thank you for telling us about HateyCon. Now why don't we get on to what we normally do in the opening part of this show and talk about what we've been playing lately. Sarah, what have you been up to?
Well, the first game that I played, I actually just played it last night, is a game called Hanama Koji. It's a 2-player, I divide, you choose card game. So in this game, there are 7 geishas, and you're trying to win the favor or win control, so to speak, over the geishas, and you do that on your turn. You'll have 6 cards, and in each round you have 4 actions available to you. You perform the actions one at a time, so I'd perform an action, and then my partner would perform an action, or my competitor would perform an action. You're limited to only these 4 actions, and that really drives your choices in the game. So the 4 actions are that you can keep 1 card secret face down, and that card will go on your side of the line at the end of the round. You can discard 2 cards secretly, and those won't be revealed until the end of the round and won't be scored. You can put 3 cards in the middle, letting your partner choose 1 and you get the other 2, or you can make 2 piles of 2 cards each, and your partner chooses a set of 2 cards and you choose the other 2. So it's a little bit like card drafting. Like I said, it's that I divide, you choose mechanic. It was really interesting and really strategic, and the whole point of the game is, like I said, you're trying to win the favor of these geishas. It's the first player to either win control of 4 geishas or 11 points. Those end up being pretty simultaneous. Most of the time, if you win 4 geishas, you'll probably have 11 points. Yeah, it's very strategic. It was really interesting, very head-to-head, and it's a fun, quick game. I really liked it. So I rated it a 4. Actually, I think a 4.5. Granted, I've only played it once, but we did go 3 rounds, so it'll be in the rotation for sure. And it's a great couples game, or great game for someone that you know really well and you're trying to suss out what the choices they're going to make or what they're trying to do throughout the game.
And what was the name of it again, and who's the designer?
It is called Hanama Koji. I might be pronouncing that wrong. And the designer is Kota Nakayama, and the artist is Measurely. Again, I may be pronouncing that wrong, and I apologize if I am. The publisher is Emperor S4, so they've done a few other card games. I think it's readily available. It was published in 2013, so it's a little bit older, but as far as I can tell, it's readily available, and I would imagine it's pretty affordable, easy to pick up.
Nice. I haven't played this one. Have you played this one, Annette?
I did. I got the chance of playing that one, and honestly, because of the size of the box, I thought it'd be a lot easier, but I was really surprised at how much strategy is actually involved in that game. I really liked it.
Nice. Okay.
We kind of had the same thing where it was the end of the day. We were getting ready to putter around the house and close shop, get ready for bed, and thought, let's try a quick light game, and ended up spending a few minutes learning it and then 20 or 30 minutes thinking about the strategy. And even though that may be considered a little bit of downtime on turns, it was pretty fun to watch John be tortured while he's trying to decide which cards to split or whatever. There's a lot of thinking that goes into it.
I had that problem with garden dice. I remember pulling it out first thing on a convention morning, Saturday morning or Sunday morning, and saying, this looks like a light filler game. Let's sit down and play this. And it wasn't. It was a fun game, but it wasn't a light filler game. There was a lot of strategy and thinking to it, so I understand what you're talking about. And Annette, what have you been up to lately?
Well, besides HateyCon, recently I actually got to play Altiplano. I got to play that one at HateyCon, and that was really cool because I've been looking forward to this game for quite a long time because it's about alpacas and farming. So
I was seeing it a lot on Twitter today.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
There was some news about it, yeah.
So it's because Renegade Games, they actually picked up the US distribution of that game.
Oh.
Yeah, so now it's not going to be just available in Europe, but now it's coming to the US in first quarter, I believe. So you'll see it next year. That game, I thought it was really good. I really enjoy Orleans. If you're a fan of Orleans, you're probably going to like this game. I did try it out as a 5-player game with 2 players that didn't like Orleans. And it wasn't a surprise that they just really didn't like Altiplano. I think if you like Orleans and the randomness of drawing tokens from a bag and you're not sure what you're going to get and having to deal with that, then you might not be a fan of this game. But just drawing little alpacas out of the bag is just like adorable. And so, I mean, I enjoyed the game. I loved it anyways. I really like the decision making. It's a little bit more streamlined than Orleans, so it was easier to get into. There's still a lot of decisions in the game, a lot of strategy as well. I would definitely, after the first play, recommend it if you already like Orleans.
Is it done by the same designer as Orleans?
It is, yeah. So it's
okay.
It's the same designer. It's Rainier Stockhausen, and it's a 2 to 5 player game. And I usually play Orleans as a 2-player game, so I'm really looking forward to playing Altiplano as a 2-player game too.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I haven't had a chance to play Orleans yet, but Mark has, and he really likes it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to give both of those a try.
Yeah, this one also has a really cute 3D alpaca first player marker that is overly large, but almost worth the price of admission, I gotta say. It was really cute to see that. I didn't get to play it, but I put it on my wish list, and probably 50% of that drive was from the cool first player marker.
I love it when games do that.
Yeah. I even put googly eyes on my first player marker. And it's about the same size
great.
as my bird too, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So that was what again?
That was Altiplano. I'm just going to give that one a 5. 5 alpacas for that one.
Okay, great. So this weekend, I finally was able to get Star Trek Catan to the table. I borrowed that game because I am a big Trekkie fan, and I borrowed it from my friend Gabe, who runs the Conquest cons here in Sacramento. It's been sitting on my game space of temporal insufficiency for almost a year. And so I finally got it to the table, and it plays just like Catan. You know, it's the same layout as Catan, which is, it's fine. And Catan's a good game. I'm not dissing on Catan. I was just kind of expecting it to be a little more thematic than it actually was. Instead of building roads, you're building starships. And instead of building villages, you're building outpost stations. And you can upgrade those to space stations instead of cities. You're trying to collect resources. And every time a planet number is rolled, that color planet pays out. You get the resources from that, and then you turn in multiples of resources in order to build more ships or outposts or star bases. It's good. Not as thematic as I had hoped. The robber was a Klingon ship. I think I was comparing it ahead of time to Starfarers of Catan instead of Catan. Starfarers of Catan is quite a bit different from Catan in ways that Star Trek Catan is not any different from Catan. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. In Starfarers of Catan, you have an actual board. It's like a rectangular board instead of putting hexes out in a frame.
Oh, okay.
And it has groups of planets all across the board, but then it also has these alien space stations where you can go and interact with the aliens and get resources or gifts from them or technology from them. And also, too, when you move, you have these little Flash Gordon-style spaceships. Everybody has one. And you shake it, and then some beads fall out the bottom, and the beads tell you how far you go. And then if you get a black one, you get an encounter card, and that tells you, hey, you found a wormhole, or you're watching the ship fly into a sun. Can you rescue it? Kind of thing. I think I was expecting more of that in Star Trek Catan than I got. And so, it's a good game. Star Trek Catan's a good game if you're a Star Trek fan and you like Catan. This is Catan skinned with Star Trek. But I think I was expecting more of Starfarers of Catan because that's an earlier game. Star Trek Catan was designed by Klaus Tuber, who, if I remember correctly, is the designer of Catan.
Yeah, the original designer.
Right. But it wasn't published until 2012. While I'm not sure if it's still in print, I'm sure you can probably pick up copies of it on the secondary market. But if I remember correctly, Starfarers of Catan was published back in like 2002. So it's been a really long time. And it's really hard to find, and it's really, really expensive. So, but if I had to choose between the two, I would definitely choose Starfarers of Catan over Star Trek Catan. Wouldn't mind getting a copy just because I'm such a Star Trek fan. But like I said, it was Catan with a Star Trek skin.
Yeah.
You had some cards with the original cast on it that you could use that gave you some asymmetrical powers. I didn't find it as engaging as I find Starfarers. So anyway, I gave it a 4. That's Star Trek Catan. What else have you been up to, Sarah?
Well, at HaitiCon, I was really fortunate and pleasantly surprised that somebody brought over some games from Essenspiel and shared them with everyone. So he had a table all day and was playing various games, one of which was Queen Domino. So I got to play that. I have King Domino and am a fan. So I was eager to try this one out. I guess I didn't realize it was coming out so quickly. So not only was it cool to try something direct from Essen, but also got to play this one, which was quite cool. So like in King Domino, you're laying tiles, doing the alternating action selection or, position selection and getting to lay them down in your kingdom domino style where you're trying to connect contiguous areas of different terrain and then scoring points based on crowns. But it adds this other element of a new terrain type. With the new terrain type doesn't score you points necessarily or not inherently, but it does allow you to build buildings. And then there's a market for buildings, and the new buildings allow you to score points in different ways. So either based on discrete areas of terrain types. So normally if you have a blue patch of land with 3 squares and a separate blue patch of land with 3 squares and no crowns, let's say, in one of them, you'd only get credit for the one that has crowns. And if they weren't touching, you wouldn't get, 6 squares. You'd get 2 groups of 3 or whatever. This one has ways that would let you score for those discrete areas or score based on a bunch of different variations. So in addition to the new terrain type, which lets you build buildings, it also has a queen that comes out and towers. The queen always goes to the person who has the most towers, and the queen gives you a discount on the building market, and also gives you, if you have the queen at the end, gives you an extra crown for whatever terrain you'd like. It has knights, which lets you tax areas of your terrain type and score coins, which then you can use to build buildings. Coins also convert into points at the end of the game at a 3-to-1 ratio. And then in the market, you could also, alternatively, if you didn't want to buy anything, you could pay 1 gold to send out the dragon to burn any building ahead of time so that your opponents can't get to those buildings on their turn. So it had a little bit more player interaction. Not too many buildings were burnt in the game that we played. We also didn't really focus on towers too much. Somebody went into the lead early on that, and we just let them have that lead. But it had new scoring mechanisms, which I liked. It's like King Domino, but on steroids, essentially. So for those that feel like they've exhausted King Domino, they could play this and kind of have a fresh take on it. So it is a completely standalone separate game. On the box, it indicated that you might be able to combine them. So the parts are compatible. You might be able to combine them to make a 7x7 grid in a large group of people, but it is completely separate and standalone, and like the red tiles can't be separated easily, so it's not 2 games in one box. You couldn't play King Domino as you normally would. You'd kind of have to play the full version, but it was really interesting and fun. I'm looking forward to playing it again. Even though I have King Domino, I'll probably still add it to my wish list and consider getting it. I think it definitely has its place, and King Domino can still be played when I play with the lighter groups or want a quicker game. It did add a lot more decision space, which tends to add more time with the right group, more AP-centric folks, but it was a good time. I enjoyed it. And it's the same designer, so it's Bruno Cathala and the same artist. It'll be published by Blue Orange Games. I don't quite know when it's coming to the US, but I imagine it'll be pretty soon here.
Okay. I haven't had a chance to play King Domino yet, and I was wondering if Queen Domino was an expansion or a standalone game or maybe a little of both.
People who know King Domino will be able to pick this up right away, but it is completely standalone. So you can jump straight into Queen Domino, and if you're a heavy gamer and your group's heavy gamers, or even, medium to heavy gamers, you won't need King Domino to play. You could just jump straight into this one.
Nice.
It was quite fun.
Very cool. Annette, have you ever played either of those games?
Yeah, I love King Domino. I'm surprised at how much I like that game because it's not that complex, but you can really get anyone to play with you with that game. They don't have to be just a full heavy gamer or anything like that. I had my grandmother play with me. I've had kids play with me. I pretty much pulled anyone in to just play that game with me, and I've always received good responses. That's why I really like that game.
Okay.
Good, solid game.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
Queen Domino, I'm not sure how I feel about it quite yet, but Queen Domino also has these little teeny tiny night meeples, and they are quite cute, but they are very small, like smaller than your fingernail small. So,
oh, wow.
It's impressive how small they are, but I feel like maybe they could have been a little bit bigger because they feel not very mighty. They're very small, but it's the knights, taxing and getting coins is a pretty cool mechanic. Once a knight's placed, you can't score it again, or you can't generate income off of it again. You can't move them. So you're kind of incentivized to reserve them until you have a big area to tax. And it added a lot more thoughts. So hopefully, Annette, all your folks that liked King Domino would also like this one. I think you could step them up to the next level with this one.
Yeah, definitely. I already pre-ordered it.
Very nice. Okay, what's next on your list, Annette?
Oh, so another game I played at HateyCon, it was Kalimala. So I had a friend that brought that game over from Essen too. And he shared that with us. And to be honest, I saw it on the preview list, but I kind of glanced over it because it's a 3 to 5 player game. And I've never heard of the designer. His name is Fabio Lopiano. And I've never heard of him. I don't necessarily play 3 to 5 players. I mainly focus on 2 players. But I overlooked it, and he brought it to my attention, and I'm glad he did because it's a game where you're trying to score majorities at certain locations. So the game begins, you shuffle up all these markers, and they're going to dictate what you can score at certain points in the game. So you put them all in 3 rows, and then you go along the row, and you score each point at different times. The timing comes into play when players are picking their actions on the action selection portion of the board. And how you pick your actions is that's all shuffled up, the tokens, and it's placed on this grid. And if you go in between 2 tokens, you can do both tokens. So if I go in between a token that gives me brick and another token that gives me marble, then I could pick up the 2. The thing is that you can place your tokens to do these actions throughout the game, and people can also place their token on top of yours. So if they place their token on top of you, they also collect a brick and a marble. However, you, because you're underneath them, you also collect a brick and marble. So then...
Oh, so you get another one.
Yeah, so it starts stacking up. And as soon as... The cool thing is, as soon as there's 4 people or 4 tokens at a certain location, it'll bump out that bottom token. And then that token will go to the score marker. And then you're going to score that place or that location. Whoever has the majority at this church or the majority in this delivering like bricks or something like that. Whoever has the majority, then they score those points at that time. The game played out really well. I really like the action selection portion. I thought that was really smart because it's so variable. It changes every single game. And then just picking and choosing where you want to go because you want to pick a place that other people really need so that you can make sure you get that whenever they arrive there too. It actually was really easy to teach, and we really got into, I think the 3 of us haven't played it. We played a 4-player game. So it's 3 new players and my friend, he already played it. And we all did really well. I think he actually got last place and the 3 of us like bumped him. But we all pretty much understood the game. We're equal platform. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. As far as a rating goes, I think because it doesn't have a 2-player element to it or a player option, I think I'm going to score it like maybe like a 3.5.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed it otherwise. I think it's a try type of game before you buy it.
And what was it called again?
It's called Kali Mala.
And is it a published game or was it a play-tested game?
It was actually a published game, yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, I know. I haven't heard of it either. It's by ADC Blackfire Entertainment Games. It's, I guess, a small publishing company. I haven't heard of them really too much, based out of Europe. But Kali Mala, it's a new game. I've been hearing a lot of good things on Twitter, too, about the game and the action selection portion of it.
Okay. You said area majority is what you're looking for in this game. Is that sort of like Inish? Have you tried Inish?
No, not so much. So you're collecting all these resources, and another option of an action that you can select is to deliver the resources. So you can deliver them via shipping or via wagon. So you're going to score how many of your bricks you deliver to these certain locations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like you ladies had a good time at HateyCon.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Great.
It was successful.
All right. The last game I'm going to talk about is Yokohama. I actually finally got to play this. My friend Scott, hi Scott, he has a copy of it and he brought it to Great Escape Games this Saturday. We had a game day at Great Escape. We were looking for one more game to play and I walked over and I said, well, I haven't played this one. Can we play this one? They said, oh, sure. And so this is designed by Hisashi Hayashi and the artist is Adam P. McIver and Royo Nayamo. And it's published by Tasty Minstrel here in the U.S., and it came out last year. I remember there was a big Kickstarter push about it. You're acting as the president of a company in the city of Yokohama in Japan. You're basically trying to fulfill these orders and acquire new technology. Those are the things that score you points. There's a lot to keep track of in this game. You start with this little card that has a bunch of little cubes on it, which are your staff. And it's got some houses on it, and it's got some trading posts on it. And then off of the card, you have 8 cubes and 2 houses and some supplies that you're trying to use to fill orders. But you start with 1 of each of the supplies. And as you're going around, it got a similar movement mechanic as Istanbul does, where you move along and you leave your staff behind you. And you can move along, you can put your cubes down in a path, and then your president has to follow that path wherever he's going. They've got to connect. When you're done on one location, when you're done with your turn on that location, you pick up all of your staff that are on that location. And this is another one where you're trying to get enough power. So it's sort of area majority. You get to reap benefits based on the number of staff and power that you have on each location. Mm-hmm. I've only played it once, so I'm trying to remember all of this and keep everything straight. Like I said, there was a lot to think about and remember. There were a lot of significant decisions for you to make every single turn. You have to decide, okay, where am I going to put my staff? Where am I going to move my president to? Does the trail connect? And then you're also trying to keep track of when you collect technology or you collect an order, you need to keep track of the flags that are on these orders because you're trying to collect sets of these flags, not all the same. You want to collect sets of different flags from different nations. And the more of these sets of flags that you have, the more points you get at the end of the game. It wasn't made clear to me that you were trying to collect whole sets at the beginning of the game. So I was going, that technology looks cool. That order looks neat. And then I'd look down and I'd have 3 American flags or 3 British flags. And they were telling me, no. You don't want to go for any more of those. You want to go for, you need a German flag, you need a French flag, you need a Japanese flag. It was a lot to put together and keep track of. I did manage to break 100 points. Yeah. Scott told me for a first game that was really, really good. Yeah. So I felt pretty good about that. I definitely would like to play this game again. There's a lot to explore in this game. That's Yokohama, and I am giving it a 4 for sure for just having played through it once. I definitely want to try it again. And I suspect that if I try it again sometime very soon where I'm still remembering how to play, that it will probably go onto my buy list because it was just a really, really good game. And I believe it plays 1 to 4 players if I remember right. So it has solo capacity. It has 2-player capacity. Scott and Jean. Jean is Scott's wife. Hi, Jean. And, I also played with Dave Mitchell, and he'll give me grief if I don't say hi to him, too. Hi, Dave. They all played really quickly. I can tell that Scott and Jean have played this quite a bit because they were like, yep, my turn, da-da-da-da-da, your turn, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, Cathy, it's your turn. Okay, let's sit here and wait. And then Dave, usually he was like raring to go by the time I was done with my turn. So they've played this quite a bit, and I'm looking forward to playing it again. So that's Yokohama. And that's what we've been playing.
You've heard us referring to and rating games by a rating scale. Here's how we're using this scale. 1. Give me back the time I spent playing it. 2. Has great potential as kindling. 3. Decent with some bugs. 4. A good solid game. And 5. Buy this now.
Today's hot topic is brought to you by BoardGameTables.com.
Sarah, have you ever tried to play a game on a table that's too big or too small?
Yes, I have. It totally takes away from the fun of the gaming experience. Have you ever had anyone spill a drink on the game table and ruin the components?
Yes, it's a horrible experience watching water or worse yet, sugary drinks flow across your game table and game components. Have you ever been trying to learn a game and wanted to leave it set up but couldn't because the table was needed for something else like, dinner?
Oh, yeah, it stinks only having one table for everything, playing and eating.
Well, now there's another option. BoardGameTables.com makes tables that are great for playing on and using for family meals or just protecting your game from little hands or curious pets.
Yeah, I've heard they have lots of options for customizing, include, cup holders, drawers, card holder slots, plexiglass, wing shelves, and different kinds of table toppers.
Their tables are made out of high-quality oak, alder, cherry, or African mahogany and stained to beautifully match other furniture that you already have in your home with a variety of fabric colors to line the inset portion of the table. You can pick your favorite color or a color that goes with the decor you already have in your home.
I definitely got a plan to save up for one of these beauties. Hey, where can I find out more information?
Check out BoardGameTables.com. You can see what they have to offer and place your order. Don't forget to let them know you heard about it on Our Turn Women on Gaming. This is Cathy again, and back in episode number 49, Sarah Reed and I did a discussion of amazing art in games. In this episode, we're talking about amazing card art specifically. So what's the difference? Well, unlike other podcasts, we don't necessarily do our top 10 favorites, which can have a tendency to exhaust a topic when you have 2 or 3 people contributing to the conversation. Also, everyone has different tastes and experiences with games, so there's plenty of room to discuss this topic again, and quite possibly not cover the same games that Sarah and I discussed before. For this discussion today, I am joined again by Sarah Graybill from Blackstraw Games and Annette Villa from Netters Plays and Board Game Breakfast. Ladies, welcome back, and thanks for joining me for this discussion.
Of course.
Yeah, great to be here.
In this discussion, I wanted to specifically concentrate on card art because there are so many games that use cards as either a randomizer or a way to tell the story of the game. And the art that's done on the cards, in many cases, is really amazing. In a lot of cases, the art is sometimes kind of meh, but the art does the job it's supposed to in, relaying icons and explaining to you what you're supposed to be doing without a whole lot of text. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's used as a translator to kind of show you exactly what you need to do. It also presents a story too.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the nice combination of card art and graphic design. And when it works really well together, that's when you can have a great game that is really intuitive. It can even graphic design speaking, it can even reinforce rules or cue you into rules that you may forget about. And then, as Annette said, tell a story. I think that's really a visual way to get people immersed into the game experience, is to have beautiful art. And it makes games more approachable, right? If there's an art style that you really like, you're going to gravitate toward that game more and maybe be more favorable to it or pick it up a little easier if it's easy on the eyes from your perspective.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the games that has kind of meh art, but the art does a really great job of making the game language independent, making it a great game, is Power Grid. Power Grid's cards, I mean, you can tell that, certain factories pollute more than others, and, the solar panels and the windmills always have blue sky, and the coal power plants always have cloudy gray skies. But the icons on it are very clear. You know what kind of fuel it requires. You know how much it costs or what the base cost is for the auction. And it's very much a Power Grid style, a Freedom and Free style of art. Is that amazing art? No, not really. Mark and I were talking about that today, and I said, well, I want to talk about Power Grid a little bit. And he goes, Power Grid doesn't have amazing art, and that's his favorite game of all time. So it made me rethink it a little bit on, okay, yeah, you're right. That's not amazing art, but it does the job it's supposed to do. What are some games that you think, Annette, have some amazing art in them?
Well, the first game that came to mind when I first thought of the subject was Iki. Iki is this game that is from Japan. The designer is actually Japanese as well. I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce his name right, but it's Kuta Yamada, and the artist is Domi, and it's just one name. I'm not sure if you've heard of this game or not, but it's based on the Edo period in Japan, and about not just the period, but the workers or the artisans, the craftsmen of that time. And what I really thought, I love this game a lot because of the worker placement and how it works, but more so because of the cards and what they represent in the game. So in the game, the cards themselves represent different occupations of that time period. Not just the occupation, but it has the worker themselves. The artist kind of enhanced the experience of the game and the theme by placing these workers on these cards. And it's not just a modern day art piece, but it's also made with the Edo period art style of that time too. Mm-hmm. So I really liked it. I really enjoy that game. It really places you in that time period. And that's why I really enjoy the card art in that game. For example, some of the occupations is like the boiled egg peddler. So it's just this random guy that has a sack of boiled eggs, but that was an occupation that was actually existed during that time. And there's also an eyeglass peddler or a cotton peddler or salt peddler. And it's all with different art styles of that time period.
Yeah, I love it when games do that, when they take the time period that the game is supposed to be in into account and mimic the art style from that period. I love that. Mm-hmm. Sarah, how about you?
One game I wanted to talk about was Fugitive. It's a Tim Fowers game, and he did paperback. He always has really beautiful art and really takes that seriously as a central part of his game. So in this game, it's a two-player only game. A lot of the games that get played in my house are two-player. In this game, you're either playing as the fugitive or the marshal who's hunting the fugitive, and the cards are just basically a scene with a number on them. They're numbered 0 to 42, I believe. And then they also have one other small icon on them that some of the cards have footsteps on them, either 1 or 2 footsteps. I think every card has footsteps in denominations of either 1 or 2. So, but the majority of the card is a scene. It's a cartoon style 50s kind of spy fugitive look to it. And the reason I love this game is, for one, I think it's really important. I'll talk about this a little bit later too, but I think it's really important in two-player games, especially, to have the art be immersive and the graphic design cue players into what the rules are or what's happening so that they don't have to consult anyone else. In a larger player count, it's sometimes admissible to like turn to your neighbor and say, what does this card do, if you don't know what it does. But in a 2-player game, you can't do that. You can't tip your hand to your opponent. So you have to really be able to solve problems independently, I guess. And I think the cleanness of these cards really enforces that. Like exactly what number of card it is, which is part of the game mechanic. How many footsteps it is. Clearly, again, part of the game mechanic. And then my favorite part of it is that the cards, as I said, go numbered 0 to 42. You're trying to essentially, as the fugitive, escape. You're trying to go from card 0 through card 42. You won't hit every card along the way, but you're trying to escape. Card 42 is the escape. And it tells this story as you go. So if you were to lay all the cards out in a line, you kind of see where the fugitive started. And, then he's in a dark alley and he's behind a trash can and he's up a fire escape and in someone's apartment. And then he's at a nightclub, and all the pictures together tell the story with no words. So it's language independent. It's really cool to kind of feel like you're on this voyage along with the fugitive as you escape. I haven't played as the marshal. I've only ever played as the fugitive, but I imagine it must feel a little bit like you're hunting the fugitive too, if you're the marshal and you're like seeing all these clues of where they might be. So it's accessible for both players and very clean, very fun style. Immersive. I think it does a really good job of conveying the information, like I said, without you needing to consult the rulebook a bunch.
Now, is this game based on the 60s or 70s TV show The Fugitive, or is it inspired by it, perhaps?
It might be inspired by it. I think it's more just this concept, just this somebody on the run type of thing. It's almost like a Catch Me If You Can style look to it. So
that's what it reminded me of when I played it too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it kind of winks at that genre a lot.
Nice. Now, I like it when an art style is so unique that it stands out. And the game that I think best depicts that is Monarch. Have you ever played Monarch, either of you?
No, I haven't.
Mm-mm.
This is a game by Mary Flanagan, Zara Downs, and Max Seidman. The artist is Kate Adams and Sarah Ettinger. And in Monarch, it's unusual because everybody that's playing is playing a princess. You're a princess, and you're the daughter of the Queen Regnant. And you and your sisters are trying to prove to dear mama that you are worthy to be the heir apparent. And you have to prove this to your mother by improving the kingdom, building your court, and having the best court and outcome for the kingdom at the end of the game. And the art style is really unique in that all of the cards and the tiles on the board, they all look like they were painted on black cloth.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
It is. All of the tiles look like they're done at night. You're trying to collect these cards to either, like I said, improve the kingdom. So you start out with a board of 9 tiles. You ever played Istanbul?
No, I haven't.
No, I haven't played that one yet.
Oh, neither of you have played Istanbul. Okay. Well, you have these rectangular boards in both Istanbul and Monarch, and you put out 9 of them, and I think there are 12 in the game. So it plays a little different every time because you get a different mix of fields and villages. One of the things that you can do on your turn is you can harvest from the fields, or you can feed the villagers and then tax them. And that's how you get money. You need food to be able to feed your people, to get them to pay their taxes so that you can make improvements. And the things that you can buy, some of them can only be bought with gold, and others can be bought with a combination of gold and food, and some can only be bought with food. And all of that information is on each of the cards with a minimum of words. I won't say that this is a language-independent game. It's not. All of the improvements are labeled, also to which banner they fall under. There are these 5 different banners that you can choose from. You can only take 1 into your court, but they give you extra points at the end of the game. But then there are items that you can gather into your court. One of them, for example, is the ceremonial coat. It's worth 2 crowns for each culture card in your court and the culture improvement on the board. And culture improvements are labeled with the banner culture on it. But the art in here is just beautiful. And even though it looks like it's painted on black cloth, the darkness behind kind of makes it stand out a little more. And it's a very distinctive art style. Really very beautiful. If you ever get a chance to play this game, sit down and play it. I think you'll be impressed with the artwork.
How many players does it play?
2 to 4.
Okay.
You're all playing princesses. There's no option, which I thought was kind of unusual. And it was funny. It was me and Scott and Jean and Dave were playing this at Great Escape this weekend. This guy walks up and goes, "Oh, Monarch. Dave, you make a beautiful princess." And I'm like, what about Scott? He's a great princess too. But it was kind of ribbon Dave. Nobody cared. They're like, okay, that's fine. That's Monarch by Mary Flanagan, Zara Downs, and Max Seidman. And it came out in 2015. And it was published by Mary Flanagan.
Interesting.
Cool. I'll have to check out the artwork.
Annette, what else have you been impressed with?
I'm really impressed with the game Arboretum. I think the artwork on them it's really simple. I mean, it's a card game, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a pathway through an arboretum. And so you're trying to plant these different trees along these different pathways. And in the game, you score points, of course, off of them. But what I really liked about this game with the artwork is that in the end of the game, after you finish, it gives you this emotion, or at least it gives me this emotion that I really planted all these trees and I can easily walk through along these different pathways and look at these different trees. But the artwork themselves are trees like oak trees and lilacs and maples and willows and such. But what I most enjoy about the artwork, which I don't see much when I play, is the back of the card. The back of the card has this gold foil with this bright green kind of color to them. And so, I don't know.
Oh, pretty.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. Unfortunately, you don't really see it when you play, but fortunately, you do get to look at these beautiful trees. And it kind of gives you this... I don't know, it's like an old illustrated book, and you kind of see these trees in the background.
Yeah.
And so...
kind of like a science book where, the old science books where they had the beautiful drawings of each of the specimens.
Yeah, so like as you're playing, it's a really good game. The game itself, it has a lot of great, interesting decisions because you're always having to draw a card and play a card. But the thing is, you don't necessarily want to give up a card either because you might give up because you have to draw 2 cards. You have to play a card and discard a card. And so it gives you that tension, like, I want them all because whatever I give up, I can give up to my opponent. But then even to enhance it even further, it's like, these cards are so beautiful. I don't want to give them up to anyone. So yeah, but the end feeling too that I always, whenever I play this game, I'm like, oh, this game is so beautiful because of the artwork on the cards themselves.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I've heard of Arboretum. I don't know anybody locally that owns it. And so if you live in Sacramento and you see me at a game day and you have Arboretum, please step up and let's go play it.
Yeah, that's the end.
Sounds like...
What were you gonna say?
Sounds like we're going to have to do a game day at Annette's house and play it with her.
Definitely.
Anytime.
All right. And Sarah, how about you? What's another one that you really enjoy?
Yeah, I kind of had a similar experience to Annette with Tides of Time in the sense that it's a card drafting game. It's a 2-player only. I didn't intentionally set out to talk about 2-player only games, but I definitely have that sense of not only point scoring intention with the game of not wanting to give my partner points, but there's certain illustrations that I really want to look at, and I get really immersed into the world itself. I think it's really neat. So in that game, as I mentioned, it's card drafting. You're essentially set collecting and trying to score points on that based on these 5 different style of castles or realms, I guess. So there's gardens, there's strongholds, there's palaces, there's temples, there's libraries, and the whole thing is all of the art is very immersive. So they're all done a little bit differently. There's interesting things to look at. The graphic design is pretty good. It's not quite language independent. It's pretty close to that. I guess the reason I can say that is because I first saw this game at Essen Spiel 2 years ago in 2015, and we bought a copy because we wanted it so badly. So we bought the German copy, having a pretty good faith in our German abilities, our German reading abilities. It's not quite quite as high as we thought it was, because there are definitely some cards that I have to look up on my phone secretly when I'm holding them, but it's pretty close. And I think if you play it enough, you can start to memorize the cards and memorize what it's trying to do. It's essentially, there are cards that, like, for every library card, you get 3 bonus points or things like that. That's written in German with a few symbols mixed in. But you start to pick it up, but it was really the face of the cards. And actually, I don't know quite if it counts as card art, because they are pretty sturdy cards. They're really heavy card stock. But for me, it was definitely the art that drew me into this game and made me interested in it. Talking about the back of the card, unfortunately, I don't really love the back of the card. It's a little boring. I don't quite know the ribbons of color or why there's this weird background, but I guess it's better than a plain background. So, and you're not really looking at the back that much. So, it's not too problematic. But all in all, I think it did art really well. And we have Tides of Madness, but haven't broken into it yet. But I imagine that one also will be really heavy on the art, really selling on the art.
That has amazing art in it as well. And Mark and I were not real impressed with the game itself.
Okay.
Tides of Madness. But I did tell him I wanted to keep the game specifically because at some point I'd like to take it in and have it framed and hang it on the wall, because the art is just lovely. It is.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that game a lot. I have my own coffee too.
Do you? Tides of Madness or Tides of Time?
The Tides of Time. Yeah.
Okay. I haven't played Tides of Time. The game that I wanted to talk about, I brought it up. I'm bringing it up because I love the way the art is used to tell the story of the game, and it helps in making the game immersive, which this game in particular needs to be immersive. And that is Time Stories. Have either of you had a chance to play Time Stories?
No.
Oh yeah, I'm a Time Stories junkie. I've played all of them.
Have you?
Yeah.
I haven't played the Antarctica one yet, and I heard there's one more after that.
Yes, there's another one. And then there should be another one coming out pretty soon, I think. The 60s, or no, film noir style. So,
okay.
Yeah, old Hollywood one. But yeah, there's...
Yeah, all of my legacy games have kind of been on hold this year because it's just kind of been an eventful year for the Ford household. But I love the art in Time Stories. You lay out these cards, and it's anywhere from, I think, 5 to 8 cards, and you lay them out on what's essentially a black and white board with some blue detailing. The board is very, very plain, but it's very, very functional. It tells you exactly what needs to go where. And when you're setting up the game, the instructions for each scenario tells you, okay, these cards go here, these cards go here. You're not, and it tells you put them on slots A through F or A through G, whatever it is. And when you lay these cards out, they make up a panorama. Mm-hmm. And then because it's a cooperative game, you each have to decide, okay, where are we all going? But you do that based on the asymmetric powers that each of the bodies you're inhabiting, because you're basically sending your spirit into, or your mental essence, whatever you want to call it, into the body of a person that exists in that time. And for example, in Asylum, you're going into an insane asylum and you're inhabiting inmates in the insane asylum. So one of them's a cocaine addict. One of them is paranoid. And you have to deal with these issues that these host bodies have. But the way the art on the cards that describe your character, you can see that in that person when you're looking at it. Mm-hmm. One of them is, you may have a character who's really strong, but not that bright. And so you have to deal with those two things while you're playing the game. And sometimes it's a help and sometimes it's a hindrance. But the art just draws you in. You feel, you almost feel like you're there. You're not sitting in your living room playing a game. You're going into the scenario and you're trying to figure out this riddle in an insane asylum, or you're trying to go through a medieval castle, or you're trying to get into an Egyptian tomb. No spoilers. I'm not spoiling anything. You can tell that just by looking at the boxes. But the art is just amazing. It's sort of this watercolor-esque, not quite watercolor art, but kind of a watercolor feel to it, because all the colors are soft and kind of a little fuzzy. They're not crisp and sharp. But yeah, the art is what really makes this game really fun and really sing to those that play it and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. And the art is a little different for each scenario. So I really like that about the game too, that not only that, but that each scenario's unique art kind of feels evocative of that time period or that genre. So that feels pretty
Asylum,
cool.
With Asylum, you're in a 1920s insane asylum in the United States.
I think you're in France in that one, right? Are you in France?
I thought it was the United States. Maybe it's France.
I can't remember.
Oh, you know what? You're right. It is France. I think you're right. I think it is France. Then in the Marcy case, you're in the American Midwest in the 1980s.
Yeah.
And then the next one is A Prophecy of Dragons, I believe.
Right.
And you're in an alternate timeline in medieval times.
Right.
And then the last one I've played is Under the Mask. And in that one, you're in ancient Egypt. And yeah, the art styles are all different, but they're all appropriate. Mm-hmm. When you're playing the Egyptian one, you feel kind of like you're in Egypt, and there's hieroglyphs, and there's, people walking around in ancient Egyptian costumes, and yeah, you feel like you're there. And that's what makes me just absolutely love Time Stories. I'm not a person that enjoys puzzles. Time Stories is all puzzles. So I'm always grateful to have my friend Kim there because she is a puzzle whiz. Mark and Frank, the other two in my group, Time Stories group, are no slouches at puzzles either. But Kim is just really sharp with them. And I'm always glad that she's there because it would take me a lot longer to figure out the puzzles. If she wasn't there. But yeah, the art is what really pulls you into Time Stories. I don't think the game would be as appreciated as much as it is if the art weren't what it is.
Yeah, if it were more generic. And I think, like you alluded to, what they do with the panoramic style of each location that you're visiting throughout each scenario is pretty cool and pretty innovative for gaming, that you're exploring this location. They have a narrative card that kind of tells you a little bit about the location. The location's panorama may have hidden information on there or just kind of visual cues that indicate what's going on that you may not catch right away. And I think all of that is pretty neat. It makes for a fun gameplay experience. We usually go all out when we do Time Stories. We do like themed food and we have themed music playing in the background. So we really take our immersion pretty seriously.
Nice. I'm going to have to do that for the next one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to have to try that
what music
game.
would you play for Antarctica?
I think we played like ship noises, kind of like steel clanking and, steam pipes going and just kind of
I'm sure I can find something like that on YouTube.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been doing stuff like that with my role-playing group when we get together to play the Firefly role-playing game. And I've been playing like spaceship noises, or if they've landed at a market, then you play the market noises, which, it just sounds like a busy flea market or something.
Right.
But the feedback I've gotten from my players is that that's really immersive too. So yeah, I'm going to have to try that. I'm going to have to try that for sure.
Yeah, Time Stories could definitely go next level and like suggest a soundtrack to listen to with it. It'd be pretty cool.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Flying Frog does that with their games. I've seen it in Fortune and Glory. So what are some others that you've seen that are kind of honorable mentions for artwork? Either of you?
Well, I think this one is more than just an honorable mention, but I talked about it last time I was here, and I'm a developer on the game, so I'm trying not to talk about it too much, but I think the art in the soon-to-be-released Spy Club is pretty incredible, and what I think is what I find fascinating about that art, I'm not the artist, I'm not the art director, so I can't take credit for any of it, but is not only the hidden information that's on each card. So like, let's say there's a card that's a mom, for example, you'll see mom walking up the stairs in a typical American house, and you see like a soccer ball in the corner and maybe a Halloween mask draped over the banister and kind of a picture frame, and things are there, but maybe also slightly askew. Like, why is there a Halloween mask? Or, little hidden things like that we've utilized in the game, that were created by the artist, and then we've utilized them in the development and direction of some of the modules in the game. Spy Club is a storytelling type game where you're a pack of kid detectives trying to solve neighborhood crimes. So you're trying to find the suspect of the crime and what the crime is, and the location, and the motive, and the object involved in the crime. So you have these cards that represent each of those aspects, each of those 5 aspects, and then also the individual cards within that aspect are detailed. So not only is the art on each card really well detailed and beautiful, but because you're doing these 5 aspects, each aspect is a different color. So all the suspect cards are purple. So every, the mom and the twins and the dog, like those are all purple, and they all have to have the essence of purple without being like a photo that has a purple filter on it, So you can check out the art online for the visual of what we're talking about here. But what I think the artist did really well is, as I said, like hiding all that cool stuff within each card, but also really giving the essence of a color of purple or yellow or blue without making it look like it's just got a filter on it. There's a lot of attention to detail to add these unique purple feelings or blue feelings or whatever to to the given cards. So that's one that I think the art is going to be, I think the game is pretty cool. Obviously, I'm the developer, so I'm highly invested in the gameplay, but I think the art will really draw people into that game too.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Nice. 2 games that I want to add as honorable mentions because they use screen captures really effectively.
That's interesting.
Are Firefly, of course, and Battlestar Galactica. And those also happen to be the 2 games I play the most. I play a lot of other games, but when I count up my plays in the year, these are the 2 games, and probably Terraforming Mars is getting up there too, that I play the most. And the art on the cards are just screen captures from the 2 different shows. But the other day, Mark and I were watching an episode of Battlestar Galactica, and I went, that's that card right there on the show, on the TV right there. That's that card. And I found myself doing the same thing when I'm watching the TV show Firefly. And it's the same thing. Oh, yep, that's that card. Oh, that's that card. And when I'm playing the game, I can look at the cards and go, oh, I remember that episode. Oh, I remember that episode. And then the cards just make total sense. So even though it's just screen captures, you have to pick the right screen captures when you're going to use that. And I think that might be maybe some of the critique of the Terraforming Mars cards, is that they're kind of trying to do the screen capture-esque style that Battlestar and Firefly did. But because it's a lot of stock footage, stock photos, I think that's kind of where it falls a little short. I love playing Terraforming Mars, and I don't personally have a problem with the card art, but I see where other people do. I see why I
think it's kind of all over the place. I love the game.
It is.
I love the game. Like, I have the expansions and stuff, and I just love playing it. And the theme and everything, I feel so immersed in that kind of theme of just trying to terraform and discover and blow up stuff and everything. But the art on the cards is just like, what are you thinking? Like one is a photograph and another one's
Yeah.
like a drawing, and it's just all over the place.
Yeah, it is all over the place. Yeah, it is. But it's also
Yeah.
still functional, which is why it doesn't get mentioned as, amazing art. But I think Battlestar and Firefly do use the screen captures effectively, and they use them consistently. Of course, you have, with Firefly, you have 14 episodes in a movie, and with Battlestar, you've got 4 seasons worth of episodes to pull from. So the other one that I found has really kind of amazing card art is Big Book of Madness. And I've only played this game through once, but I remember every time I was looking at the cards, just thinking, wow, they did this element right. Have either of you played that?
No, I've been looking at it for a while, but I haven't picked it up or I haven't played it yet.
No, I haven't played it.
Yeah, you're in a wizarding school, and you specialize in one of the 4 magical elements: earth, air, fire, and water. And so each of the characters, they're balanced gender-wise. There's a guy and a gal for each element. And so you're not, if you want to play the girl that has an affinity for the water element, you can do that. And if somebody else at the table wants to play the guy that has the affinity for the water element, you can do that too. So I like that it's gender balanced, but the art is just really well done. The characters have asymmetric powers, and they look like the people that would have those kinds of powers. I don't remember exactly, all of the cards, because it's been a little while since I've looked at it. But when I was sitting and reviewing games that I own and thinking, does that have amazing art? Does that have amazing art? I think, yeah, that one does have amazing art. And just pictures on the spell cards, the pictures on the character cards, they're all just absolutely beautiful and very, very well done. Anything you want to add, Annette?
Oh, yeah. So one of my favorite artists is Vincent Dutray. And I think he did some of the artwork for Time Stories, too. Yeah, but he's an amazing artist. One of the games that I really like is the Lewis and Clark Expedition game.
Oh,
Yeah,
that.
the
Yeah, I have
artwork in that is really beautiful. It's so detailed and everything, and it's like a deck builder in a way. And you're trying to also race from one side of the river to the west coast. And so along the way, you're picking up all these different characters, and it's all historically relative to the game itself too. And so all these different characters, I mean, you can look them up and everything, and you could find out more details. But when you're playing the game and you're actually seeing these characters come out and help you at certain times, I like the theme of it all too, and how it affects the gameplay.
I know when we played it, I'm trying to remember, we played it 4-player, 5-player, but when we were playing it, when someone fell back, you're like, oh no, when they fell back on the river. And then when they were able to push forward, my friend Amy, she fell all the way to the very back end of the river. And then, through a series of amazing card plays, all of a sudden she won. And we're like, wow, where'd that come from? Yeah, that was a fun game.
Pretty fun game. But I like that one. I'd also have to mention Evolution too. I'm not sure who the artist is. I can't name it off the top of my head, but in Evolution, just the watercolor artwork, the creativity, and all these different animals. Because, I mean, these animals are all extinct, like dinosaurs and such, so we don't know what they look like. But the creativity with the color work on the art, on the cards themselves, is pretty nice. I really like that.
All right. So tell us, what are your favorite games with amazing card art? Let us know in the Board Game Geek Guild number 2600, or you can also let us know on Facebook or Twitter. And we are looking forward to hearing from you as well. We do have some feedback from our guild on Board Game Geek. We asked, is there a style of card art that you'd like to see more often? And Roger, who is an occasional contributor on our show, says stylized art, as in Death Over the Kingdom. And in a different style, the new edition of The Captain is Dead. And if I recall correctly, that one's kind of an angular art style. Have you seen? Have either
No, I
of you
haven't.
seen that one?
Yeah, I've seen that one. That's also like cartoon, like you said, sharp angles. I haven't seen the new one, but I have seen the old one, or the one I'm familiar with. Also has that art style, cartoon, cool,
Okay.
very graphic style.
So Roger continues with, in other words, getting away with the plain representational approach that's common in a lot of game art. So then we also asked the question, what are some games that have amazing art on the cards? And Kevin said, right off the top of my head, I would say Scythe, of course. Scythe is a beautiful game. And Cerebria, I haven't seen that one. Have
No,
either of
I
you seen that
haven't.
one?
No.
He calls those two of his proudest Kickstarter pledges. Also, I think Elysium, Among the Stars, and Raiders of the North Sea all have pretty amazing artwork on their cards.
Yeah, Raiders of the North Sea. I like the artwork on that. It's very cartoon style.
Okay. The only one of those I've seen and or played is Scythe. The others I haven't seen yet. Seasons. Richard Bright says Seasons is full of gorgeous art. He just played Seasons with Richard, and he very generously loaned us the game so we could play it again and get the hang of it. Just about every card in Dixit is a work of art.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Absolutely. Legendary, Magic the Gathering, and 51st State Master Set all have great art. Mark would skin me alive if I did not mention Magic the Gathering as having amazing art. It does have amazing art. I don't play Magic, but I have looked at his cards, and they are beautiful. And then he says, can't forget about the granddaddy of OMG, the art is the best and makes the game awesome, Scythe. And that was all typed as one word in capitals. And then Roger adds in Mysterium. He doesn't say anything about it. He just says Mysterium. And yeah, I would agree. That's some amazing art. Charlotte says, Android Netrunner has some of the best and most thematic art on its cards of any game I know. Some of it just looks cool, but some of it also tells these little thematic stories. Okay, and a few of the cards have bad art, but that's probably to be expected among over 1,000 cards. Okay, probably. And then she says the Seventh Continent has a huge map made out of cards, and the landscape illustrations are amazing. Yes, that's true. I've only played Seventh Continent once, so I need to look at it a little more, but I do remember it having lovely illustrations. Have either of you played that one yet?
No, not yet.
My friend Dwayne backed it on Kickstarter, and apparently it's not going to be coming to retail. It's a Kickstarter
Oh, interesting.
only.
Just Kickstarter only.
And then she goes on to say, the art style is probably not to everyone's liking, but I also really enjoy the illustrations in Sylveon. Sort of dreamy. Have either of you played Sylveon?
No, I don't think.
No,
yeah,
I've
I don't
never
think
even
I've
heard of it.
that one.
I hadn't either. But the other one that I would use the term dreamy on, because I find the art amazing, is Sarah's Project Dreamscape. That definitely has art that...
Yeah, dreamy.
It invokes dreams. It also invokes nightmares, which it's supposed to do. So the art does that really well. And so that's our feedback from our guild on Board Game Geek. So thank you all for participating. Like I said, if you have a favorite art style or game that you think has amazing card art, let us know in Guild number 2600 or on Facebook or Twitter. And thank you, ladies, for joining me for this discussion. This was great.
Yeah, thank
for
you. This
having
was
us.
fun.
Hi, this is Cathy, and I need to ask your help, please. Our team is constantly looking at our show and trying to figure out what is working and what is not. We need your help in doing that now, and I would appreciate it if you would go to ourturnpodcast.com/survey2 and take a quick survey about our show. Again, that URL is ourturnpodcast.com/survey2, and that's the number 2. We'll also have a link to it in the show notes. Anyone who fills out the survey and gives us their email address will be entered to win a drawing for a copy of Mary Flanagan's Monarch. You can hear my review of this incredible game in episode number 27. We will do the drawing on November 15th and announce the winner in episode number 55. Your feedback will help us to improve this show going forward. Thank you for your support. for the interview, I am joined by Heather and Chris O'Neill from Ninth Level Games. They currently have an RPG and LARP game on Kickstarter called Tragedies of Middle School, which is going into the home stretch of their campaign, and they're less than $500 from making their goal. Heather and Chris, welcome to Our Turn.
Hi, Cathy.
Hi, Cathy.
Hi. So, Heather, I should say welcome back to Our Turn. You came on as an interview guest back on episode 20 for your board game called Barricades.
Yes, thank you. It's doing really well. We are fulfilling Kickstarters now, and we're going to have it at PAX Unplugged for the first time for the public. So Barricades will be out in the real world very soon.
Oh, excellent. Now you're back with a game that looks like a huge collaboration. Tell me about it.
Yes, it's actually something we've been talking about for about a year, a little over that now, just in concept. And we thought it was such a neat idea. We wanted to get as many people involved as possible. And what it is it's actually an anthology of RPG story games and LARPs, where the core mechanics of the games are centered around middle school activities like Truth or Dare, Spin the Bottle, making friendship bracelets, sleepovers, Bloody Mary, cootie catcher, MASH, all that kind of silly stuff. And basically taking that and putting it into the core of the game. There's also like a very PG-13 horror vibe running throughout, which kind of is just about the awkwardness of being in middle school and all the bad things that happen, but also some of the scary things that happen as you become a teenager. So there's that vibe running through as well.
Yeah, I watched the video and it shows kind of a horror theme to it. And it reminded me a few days ago, someone on Facebook posed the question, if you could go back to age 10 with all the knowledge you have now, or you could go to age 45 and have $50 million in the bank, which would you choose?
No.
I chose 45, not because of the money, but because I wouldn't want to go through middle school and high school again, but it's a great horror-themed trope.
Yes, exactly. I know that's a tough...
I'm almost 45, so, it would be real easy to skip a year. It'd be like going to bed for a year and then getting $50 million seems pretty good.
For me, I get to go back a year.
So, hey,
great.
That seems pretty great. Yeah, so basically, as far as the collaboration and all the different designers, as we kind of talked about this concept, so many people were into it because it just hit home because everyone was 13 at some point and remembered doing these activities, or also hated being 13, and it really spoke to them and they wanted to write kind of like a horror thing expressing that. So we have some LARPs that get a little bit dark and a little bit, deep. And then we have some really light things like Wizard Student Council, where you're just little wizards and you're running after school events, and it's very light and fun. So it definitely runs the gamut. We've got, right now, 18 different designers. It's pretty much a 50-50 split of women and men.
Wow.
We also have 2 actual 13-year-old kids that collaborated with their parents or step-parents on two of the different projects, which was really fun.
Oh, that does sound like fun.
Yeah, so the Wizard Student Council is one of those, and the other one is called Zoning Out, where you are zoning out in school, not paying attention, and you don't want the aliens to take over your brain, is kind of the vibe. So they're the 2 that the teenage kids made, which was really fun. Yeah, it was great. And then we also have 2 artists involved. The artist that did some of our other games, like Schrodinger's Cats, is involved, and then another great artist named Tina, who is a new artist to game design, and she's also involved. So we've got a lot of different people and a lot of different moving parts, so it should be really fun.
Wow, how did you pull together this whole big cast of writers and collaborators?
Well, for us, we interact with the game community a lot. We're part of a big playtesting community here in Philadelphia. We go to a lot of conventions, one of the big ones being Metatopia, which is a game conference for designers. So we know a lot of designers, and so, strangely, when game designers get together, they talk about making games, and everyone seemed, besides being interested in the concept, everyone had some little game or some little piece that they were really interested in. And one of the designers, Doug Lewandowski, who's a high school teacher, he'd come up with this game called 7 Minutes in Hell, which is a spin the bottle story game where you spin the bottle to determine what's going on in the game, and then someone gets possessed. And you were like, Because that's what normally happens.
Absolutely.
Heather and I were like, oh, that kind of reminds us of our game Demon Realms, which is a game that uses the MASH mechanic, right? So
do you remember MASH? Do you remember that recess game? It was a thing.
No.
I don't know why we did it, but at some point, I guess late 80s, early 90s, you would create this list of what your life was going to be like as an adult. Where you would live and who you would marry and where you would go on your honeymoon, what your job would be.
Yeah, it's like a fortune teller.
It was like a fortune teller. And then you would do this swirl of fate and people would tell you when to stop your pencil and then count those swirls. And then you would cross off every seventh one if it was 7. And it would determine your fate. And at the end, it's like you're going to live in an apartment in New York City and you're going to be a lawyer and you're going to marry Johnny and, you're going to have 2 kids and a dog.
15 children.
And that was this thing. So what we had talked about when we made this game, which is just a drive-through RPG download game, was what if a 13-year-old girl sees her older brother playing D&D and wants to play and he doesn't let her. And she's like, fine, I'm going to make my own D&D. But she doesn't really know how to make a character. So she uses that as the character sheet. And then the adventure of actually going out and doing what you would do for hours and hours is a 10-minute recap of how awesome it was and the monsters you encountered and what happened. And again, it's just a very light, silly thing where by the end of it, you see what happened, you high five, and it's over, and it's a very light, silly thing. So we thought, that was never something we thought we could publish in a printed book. It wasn't enough. And when we met Doug and heard about his game, and we talked about a lot of other things that are fun in concept, but how do you sell that as a whole game, and what do you sell it for, and would people be interested? We kind of thought, let's do an anthology, and let's start getting people on board for this anthology. That way, when there's 20 games, it's much easier to actually sell it.
We started recruiting people, and it would be like, okay, well, tell us what nostalgic mechanic you're interested in. So like Banana Chan, who's a LARP designer, she was like, oh, I want friendship bracelets. And we were like, exactly, that's exactly what we want. So she has a game about friendship bracelets, and possibly you live in a weirdo cult where you've never met anyone before. It's like really crazy.
And we also have like a Glenn Given who's made Slash. He says, oh, I'd like to do a dodgeball variant. So it's like, sure. Wow. So there's a dodgeball game in there. There's also just some real silly stuff that are just more of an activity where it's like drawing in the margins and doodling games or, making a cootie catcher.
There's a Ouija board on here for one of them.
So that's a game that I designed. It's called Did You Hear About the Kid Who Died Here? And it is a one-to-one role-playing experience that... Of all of it's probably the most horror of all of them, but it is, you sit back to back and one player plays a 13-year-old exploring a haunted house and the other person plays the Ouija board.
They're the ghosts or something, right, exactly. So you're communicating through a Ouija board, you can't see each other, it's all just,
all just questions and answers.
Yeah. So that's definitely a unique game as well. So the book... has that in it in a PG-13 level. And if you back it at like the $50 level, you get the rated R actual hard copy of that game too, because this game has like an X card. It could get really dark where people are like, I don't want to talk about that kid that died here. That gets too far.
Yeah,
so
and we package that in a tape case, and so it's a bunch of Ouija board looking cards, some little planchettes for moving around, and some rules on. One of the things Heather was talking about is the X card. One of the things that we haven't done it yet, but it's a planned part of the anthology is a set of instructions for, how to safely play this with people you don't know. Because sometimes story games and LARPs can get it's pretty easy to cross a barrier that someone's not comfortable with. So just giving some people the community has developed a lot of safety tools. So we want to include that as part of the anthology as well.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so we're going to definitely do that. And like I said, a lot of people that are involved are LARP designers, so they see this more than maybe a board game designer would say, right? So this was one of the things we really, really, really wanted to make it feel comfortable and safe, that you could play it with your kids if you're 13 or 13 plus, but really it's for the adults who were 13 and remembering being 13 is really the push for this product. It's not really to be played as a kid, but we wanted to make it that you could play most of these games and it's not too dark.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely the vibe that we're going for.
But there's just a couple of really different things. Like there's a Choose Your Own Adventure by Patrick Clapp that's in there. Like that's a totally different thing. And then,
Tell me about that one, because I loved Choose Your Own Adventures when I was that age.
yeah, so did Patrick.
Yeah, they're fun. And so basically it's called After School Special. And I believe you're stuck in a school?
It's
is the premise?
the premise is that you it's pretty good if you're a fan of CYOA, but it is it's more like a fighting fantasy book. Like, so you actually get to roll some dice so you can test. You have like a micro character, and you're supposed to be doing something after school, and it gives you a bunch of different ways to get in trouble and possibly start World War III. So.
Uh-oh.
Which is very...
Little War Games-esque, maybe.
Little War Games-esque? Yeah, that's...
Yeah, there's definitely some 80s movie vibes, like the one that I worked on or made is called Heartbreak Club, which is a breakfast club, riff. They're, instead of being in detention as the whole game, just the character creation is detention, and then the gameplay itself is truth or dare. And it's a storytelling game, like very light, probably a half an hour play experience. Similar in vibe to Fiasco, but much quicker and a truth or dare overarching theme.
Heartbreak Club is really good. Don't.
Now, let me ask you a question here. These games, can they be played as like one-offs, or are they meant to be played consecutively?
They're all meant to be played as one-offs. They're all one-shots. I mean, some of them could be played multiple times. So, like Heather's game, Heartbreak Club, you could play 1,000 times. Demon Realms, you could play 1,000 times. It's just one and done.
One and done, right? Exactly. Yeah. The plan with these is really more as like a, hey, let's have this fun night. Hour, 2 hours, whatever, and you don't keep the character the next time. The whole idea is that they are supposed to be quick and kind of fun.
Ah, okay.
And they're not necessarily supposed to keep the same characters and campaign and all of that. Yeah,
and some of the games are for one or two people, and then there's games all the way up to, there's a game called So I Was a Teenage Lizard Person, and that could be played with, a group of 40 people.
That's basically a school dance, which is already horrible, right? And so you're at a school dance, and the entire game is 2 songs worth. You pick the songs that you want, which is kind of fun. And the first song, you have a little card with some information. Are you a lizard person? Are you not? And maybe some other things. And you spend the first song walking around and trying to get information from other people. And then the second song, by the end of the second song, if someone asks you to dance or you ask someone to dance, you have to accept or not, and by the end of that song, be dancing with someone. And if there's an
literally physically dancing.
And if there was an odd number, then you just have to stand with a chaperone, and that's already more horrible than being a lizard person. And then if you're with a lizard person, they eat you. Basically it's silly. It's like that's it. But it's really funny. It's just 2 songs. The whole thing can take 15 minutes, and it's like a social deduction meets very light roleplay LARP. In a really cute way. So these are definitely good introductory games to storytelling and role-playing too, because if people like these things, then you could probably get them to play something a little headier and a little heavier and move them into other things.
Yeah, we definitely, so there's a couple of games in this piece that if you're into role-playing or LARPing, you could easily play them with, your family or your friends that aren't as a gateway. Right, so definitely some.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of gateway. Like I said,
yeah.
Some of the LARPs get a little heavy, but there's so many light things in there that you could get someone on board. And then, oh, you like that? Why don't we try this storytelling game? Oh, you like that? And then move them through.
Yeah, the one LARP is called Bloodiest Mary, which is again on you could get someone to do it because the idea is you're all at a slumber party. And you're trying to convince each other to go into the bathroom and say Bloody Mary into the mirror, right? And it's got very, very clearly defined by Kira Mangren. It's really tight. It's really good. But for a lot of people, if they're not really into LARPing, it's a pretty low barrier. It's like, oh, we're gonna be at a slumber party. Okay,
right.
I'm not an elf that has a magic sword.
Right, it's definitely...
Or I'm fighting zombies or something.
It's an accessible concept to people that might not be into that fantasy world. And the other thing that I think is really interesting about this book is there's a lot of solo games. So, like a Choose Your Own Adventure. There's a dungeon crawler that's a solo game. I think Alex Carlson's is a solo Pokemon collecting kind of vibe game, but I believe it's a serial killer or something, spoiler
Yeah, you
alert.
might be you might be collecting Pokemon, or you might be
Yes.
the actual the title of that has changed, but it's called
Right.
something like
It's fun.
Pixel Monsters or
Right.
or
So there's a lot
something.
of things also that you could do on your own. So that's another fun thing.
Nice.
Which is great. So yeah, we're basically, like I said, we're about to fund right now. Hopefully with this week in PAX Unplugged, we can hit a couple stretch goals, which would be great. We have our second stretch goal would be to add another designer, Hannah Schaefer, who did Damn the Man, and it's a heads up 7-Up game, and I'm really excited about it. Hopefully it makes it in. Remember that? So that I'm hoping that one makes it in. We'll see how it goes, but that's where we're kind of focusing on this week and through PAX. So
Now, your pledge levels aren't expensive. So tell me about some of those so that we can, encourage people to come on out and pledge.
right. So the actual physical book is only $20, and like I said, there's at least 20 games, because right now we have 20 games. So it's $1 a game, which is pretty great for a hardcover actual copy of the book.
Soft cover.
Soft. I just mean not digital. Is what
It's an actual book.
That's what I'm saying.
Not a hardcover.
20
Right, but people can get a digital copy if
for
they,
only $10.
if they
Right.
choose.
So only
Correct.
$10 for a digital copy. If you love the concept, you could go up to the $30 level, which includes an enamel pin of like a little Mead notebook style, which is very cute. And then at the $50 level is where we add in that rated R, Did You Hear About the Kid Who Died Here game. You actually get the physical copy of that, plus the soft copy book, plus the pin. And then if you want to go really crazy and give us $350, which would just hit us into our goal right now, you could you could get a backpack of awesomeness, which is everything, plus all kinds of silly extra stuff that you would need to play the games, like friendship bracelets and cootie catchers and pins.
Yeah, it's
and
just
all
like
kinds
a
of
one.
fun things.
It's a custom backpack. So the only way to get it, and then we'll actually make a custom game. That's
and a custom game for the player. Yeah, exactly.
a custom micro game for that player. So.
And then you have a free sample available on your page too for 7 Minutes in Hell, which is the spin the bottle game.
Correct, exactly. That one, like we said, as soon as we got involved with that, we knew that was a good flagship game, I guess you could say, for this, because it basically encapsulates everything that the book is about.
Yeah.
So that's why it's the one to download, because if you like that and you like that vibe, you're going to like most of these games, or probably all these games. So
Right, if you think, oh, we're going to play Spin the Bottle, and then one of us gets possessed, is a good idea, then you need to buy this game.
Exactly.
Well, this looks like an incredible amount of fun, and I wish you a ton of luck on this. You're so close to hitting your goal. Yeah, this looks like fun. I'm definitely gonna see if we can squeak this one into the budget, because I can see running this at conventions. I can see doing some of this with my friends. So, and yeah, it brings back lots of memories.
Oh yeah, definitely, which is great. And you know, if you're playing with your friends, it's going to be even funnier, especially if you knew each other as kids or even as older teenagers, because it's just going to pull back all those memories,
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that should be pretty fun.
And for the week here of PAX Unplugged, getting ready for that convention, there's gonna be a bunch of video coverage of us doing different games on this, so people can actually see it.
So Kickstarter live streams will be happening. We'll be at the Kickstarter booth doing demos of a few of these games. So between Thursday, Thursday the 16th of November through the 18th of November, check out a lot of different live streams on our Kickstarter page or at ninthlevel.com. We'll have information up about it there, and on our Twitter, which is at Ninth Level. You can also follow that for updates.
And when does the campaign end?
The 21st of November, so the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Okay, so coming up here. All right. Yeah, good luck. And I can't wait to see how this comes out, because this just looks like tons of fun. Tons of fun. All right. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing this with us. And I hope you'll come back and let us know what your next project is going to be. Do you have another project going on?
Well, we've got a few.
Always.
Our next board game project is going to be called probably Meeple Party, where you're a bunch of meeples at a party. And then we also have a couple of role-playing games coming up next year, one called The Excellence, where you're princesses that are the best at something, and then also Issues, which is a comic book creation storytelling game. So those are all in the pipeline for the next year and a half. So,
well, excellent. I hope you'll come back on and tell us about it when they get close to coming out.
We absolutely will.
Yeah.
Excellent.
The Dice Tower Network is a proud supporter of the Jack Vassell Memorial Fund. The board gaming community is kind and generous, and this fund was created to provide financial assistance to members of the board gaming community in their time of need. To find out how you can help the fund continue to help others, please visit jackvassell.org/donate. Thank you for your support.
All right, so now we're getting to the end of the show and winding things up and looking ahead to what we've got on our plates going forward. Annette, what have you got on your plate coming up?
BGG Con. So I'm planning to go to BGG Con on November 15th through the 19th. And I've been looking forward to this all year long. So finally going to get to go and meet all my friends all over again. I only get to see them like once a year from all over the place. So I'm looking forward to that. Mm-hmm.
Nice. And Sarah, are you doing something similar?
Yeah, I'll be at BGG Con too. This will be my first BGG Con official. I did go to BGG Spring earlier in the year, the family spring version earlier in the year, but this will be my first BGG Fall. So I'm really excited about it. We have a big crew from Sacramento and the California gang going. So it should be a good time, and I'll get to play test some stuff. I'll get to meet friends and also play a bunch of games. So
nice. That weekend, I will also be at a con, but not BGG Con. Conquest Avalon is also being held that weekend here in Sacramento. And that's what I'll be going to. I'm in a life coaching program. And earlier in the year, my life coach challenged me to do a podcast recording at a convention. And so that's what we're doing at Conquest Avalon. We're going to do our first one. We're having to acquire some equipment to make it happen so that we're all in the same place at the same time and all recording together and hopefully getting everybody's voice on there in good quality. So Sarah Reed will be there and Amanda will be there. She's trying to ramp up to be an occasional co-host on the show as well.
Great.
And then Frank will be there and Mark will be there. And I think Sarah's husband will be there as well. So we'll have the guys on as well. And we're hoping that some of our Sacramento contingent that aren't going to BGG Con will come on over to Conquest Avalon and join us for our show and participate. And we're still in the planning stages of things, but we're getting excited about doing this. This is a big step for our show. You know, I know it's a little tiny con. It's like 300 to 500 people usually every year, but this is our first time doing it. And I hope people don't expect Dice Tower level shows, but we're looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun.
No, it should be great. I'm sorry that I won't be there to see it in person or contribute, but I think it'll be great. And wish you good luck with it.
That's okay. We'll try and rope you both into Conquest Sac in the spring. How's that sound?
Sounds like fun.
Maybe we can get you up here, Annette.
Yeah. I'll make sure to bring Arboretum with me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe we can get you up here in the spring and we can do another show. That'd be fun. So we'll see how this one goes, and then we're just making plans for the holidays. I'm not sure yet if we're doing Thanksgiving with family or Friendsgiving with friends. So lots of things happening as the end of the year gets very, very busy.
It does.
Yeah. I'm trying to take a little bit of advantage of the Thanksgiving weekend, and we've carved out time on the Friday after Thanksgiving, to play as many games as possible, because we tend to acquire a lot of games and don't always get the opportunity to play them, because all of our friends also acquire games, and, we all have to take our turns playing each other's games. So we carved out Friday to just be a marathon day and try to get through as many of our unplayed games as possible.
Nice.
Yeah,
Maybe I should do
a
that
lot
here
of fun.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're both invited. So if you want to come up for the weekend, we have plenty of space. You can come up and play with us.
Nice.
Cool.
That'd be great. All right. Well, safe travels to you both.
Thank you.
Traveling back to Texas and back out to California again when you're done. And I hope you have great fun. And just say hi to everybody from me too.
Yeah, we will.
Thank you. We'll do.
And I hope you'll both tweet so I can, live vicariously through you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will, definitely. I'll be tweeting through the Blackstraw Games channel, so that's at Blackstraw Games, or posting on Facebook as well.
Okay.
Through Blackstraw.
And Annette, how can people reach out to you online?
Yeah, I'll be posting as Netters Plays. Probably be on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And then YouTube, I'll probably do some recording too while I'm there, and then eventually have it on my YouTube channel as Netters Plays.
Nice. Yeah, I remember when you did that for Pacificon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be looking for that. And then, of course, you can reach out to me on Twitter. I run the Our Turn podcast account. I also have my own account on there that I check into once in a while, and that's Cathy's Brain. And then I also manage the Board Game Geek Guild number 2600 and post questions in there. I try to get them up every day, and we look forward to the answers that our friends and fans post in there. And the same questions also get posted on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/OurTurnPodcast. Sarah posts over there, and when you see the Our Turn logo responding, that's usually her responding. So if you want to interact with Sarah Reed, then you can do that on Facebook, or I'm on Twitter and BGG. So... all right. Well, thank you both for joining me for this episode. This has been great fun. I hope you'll come back again sometime.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And until next time, on behalf of the entire Our Turn podcast crew, that was our turn. Now it's yours. Thank you for listening. This episode was recorded on November 6, 2017, and is written and produced by Cathy Ford, Sarah Reed, Sarah Graybill, and Annette Villa, with assistance from Heather and Chris O'Neill and Mark Ford. Next time, we will do our second Ask Us Anything episode. We want and encourage your questions, comments, and feedback. Please call 916-426-2873 and leave us a short voicemail, or send an email to feedback@ourturnpodcast.com. Our theme music was composed by Adriana Crickle. Incidental music was provided by Ben Sound. Please check out our show notes to learn more about these talented artists. The material in this episode is copyrighted under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. If you want to learn more about the games discussed in this episode, please visit our website at ourturnpodcast.com/episode 54. You can find a list of the games along with links to their listing on BoardGameGeek.com. We are proud members of the Dice Tower Network. You can find out about other shows in the network, like the Secret Cabal Gaming Podcast, Onboard Games, or Ludology, by going to DicetowerNetwork.com. Thank you for your support. If you like what you heard, please tell your friends about us.
The official Firefly count for this week is 3. Any remaining difficulty with the space-time continuum is not our problem.